All right, your Miami Dolphins dropped to 5-2 on the season after losing to the Eagles 31-17 on Sunday Night Football. With the stats quickly, Jalen Hurts 23 for 31, 279 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. On the ground, DeAndre Swift 15 carries for 62 yards. Jalen Hurts had a rushing touchdown, so did Kenneth Gainwell. In the receiving game, A.J. Brown couldn't do anything against him today. 10 receptions for 137 yards and a touchdown. Goddard, 5 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Smith, 4 for 49. Darius Slay had an interception, and then sacks-wise, Josh Sweat got 2, Nolan Smith got 1, and Jordan Davis and Fletcher Cox each had half a sack. So 4 total sacks for that Eagles team. For the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, 23 for 32, 216 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mostert, 9 for 45 on the ground. Couldn't really get anything going in the run game. In the receiving game, Tyreek Hill, 11 receptions for 88 yards and a touchdown. Waddle, 6 for 63. Cedric Wilson, 2 for 48. Glad to hear his name. And then the interception went to Jerome Baker, who, of course, returned that for that pick 6, which tied the game up at 17. And then sacks-wise, the Dolphins had 3. Bradley Chubb had 2 of those. Jalen Phillips had 1. And, yeah, man. That game wasn't very fun to watch. And, all the talk before it was that the Dolphins really needed to beat a good team to get all that talk out of people's mouths. And they couldn't do that in Philadelphia tonight. But, I'm going to talk about the optimism about it later because it wasn't This game, although we lost by 14 points, I forgot what the score in Buffalo was, but the Dolphins clearly played better today than how they did in Buffalo week 4. But if you told me that, if you told me that after week 7 the Dolphins were 5-2, I would guess that those 2 losses were to the Bills and the Eagles on the road, which is what happened. The Dolphins are winning games that they should, which matters, but they also need to win games against those competitive and physical teams. And it's not even about beating those good teams. It's about beating the physical teams. And Buffalo and Philadelphia are 2 of the most physical teams in the NFL. But now that game in Germany in 2 weeks versus Kansas City really, it creates a very big impact because, let's assume the Dolphins beat the Patriots next week. I don't want to do that because they did just beat the Bills today, which helps us out a lot. It keeps us a game ahead of them in the division, which is clutch. But let's say both teams win next week between the Chiefs and the Dolphins, and they meet in Germany where the Chiefs are 7-1 and the Dolphins are 6-2. The Dolphins could take over the AFC with the win in Germany, which would be huge right before the bye week. So, of course, let's focus on that Patriots game. But, in this game versus the Eagles, they just got outplayed. Now, I'll start with the offense. The offense was not what we're used to seeing. In that Bills game, you saw even at the start of that Buffalo game, the offense was clicking. Like, the offense went out and scored 2 very well-driven drives on that Buffalo defense where they put up 14 points, and it was touchdown, 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 touchdown. I think the score was 14-14, and then the Dolphins started punting, the offense slowed down, and the Bills never slowed down. That's why they just completely took over that game, and at halftime, in the second half, they just really took over and, put a nail on the staple. But either way, in this game, the offense came out, and throughout the whole game, they were slow. And some drives, they would come and score the ball in very well-driven drives, but a lot of times they couldn't get it going. Now, on that Tyreek deep touchdown, my TV actually froze right after they sacked Tua on second down, and it was like 3rd and 8, I'm pretty sure. And the TV was frozen. I checked the notifications because I assumed it was a citywide problem for all my Miami local reporters. And the first tweet I see is that Tua to Tyreek, and you knew that Tua Tyreek go route was going to be coming soon, and there it was. And the Dolphins got in the end zone on that 27-yard touchdown. What a throw by Tua that was! I mean, that was just incredible. The safety was literally there. And his one job was don't let Tyreek Hill get past you and score a touchdown right over you. And that's exactly what happened. Speed kills, perfectly dropped in there by Tua. But, this game's frustrating because, like I said, the Dolphins really needed to win that game to get their names out of people's mouths, and they couldn't do it. But, yeah, I mean, I'll go to the defense. The defense, they let up 31 points to the Eagles, but I feel like overall the defense didn't play bad. And the rushing defense was really, really good today. They had some runs toward the end of the game in garbage time. But 5 for 62 for DeAndre Swift. He had a big game. He had a big rush at the end of the game, which I think was that 22-yard run. But they basically, the rush defense played really, really good today. The front four with Wilkins, Sealer, Chubb, and then AVG / Jalen Phillips, who was on a snap count. They did play well. David Long missed most of that game with a concussion, I'm pretty sure. So him and Javon Holland collided in the third quarter, so David Long missed most of the second half. But, going over the injuries for this game, because there were a lot of them. Xavier Howard didn't play, which is something that I assumed he would play. And then, of course, Connor Williams wasn't able to play, and Liam Eichenberg messed up a lot of snaps. And the penalties is what I'm going to talk about next, right after these injuries. I don't know how I haven't talked about the penalties yet. Jalen Waddle missed most of the game with the back injury. Hopefully he's fine next week for the Patriots game. Of course, no Teron Armstead at left tackle. No left guard because Isaiah Wynn left the game in the first quarter. No Connor Williams. David Long was out for most of the game. No Jalen Ramsey, of course. No Xavier Howard. Nick Needham didn't play. Kader Kohu was on and off. So was Eli Apple. Not injury-wise, but I mean just good play, bad play. It was just back and forth. It was so... what's the word? It was just back and forth. There was no consistency at all. Javon Holland missed some of that game after that collision with David Long, and then Jalen Phillips was on a snap count, of course. But this video is just full on me ranting. Tomorrow I'll probably have a deeper dive with actual notes in front of me that I can read off of and stuff. But the penalties is what I really want to talk about. 10 total penalties on Miami today. 0 for the Eagles. Not a single flag was thrown on the Eagles today, which is unbelievable. And it's not even that they played just a completely clean game. There was clear flags on Philadelphia that just straight up wasn't thrown. The face mask on Cedric Wilson on 4th down that would have ended up being a first and goal situation for the Dolphins. Multiple false starts on the right tackle and also the left tackle at some points. And I'm trying to think of another one that I saw. Holding calls on the O-line. That last sack before the end of the half by Jalen Phillips was a clear, he grabbed his neck, and then also on David Long on a run attempt by DeAndre Swift. It was just so many flags that was clear to me, at least from the TV, that was just never thrown in the game, which is so disappointing to see. But and flags that were on the Dolphins were, honestly, a lot of them were fair. It was clear that Liam Eichenberg was holding, or whoever it was, or Isaiah Wynn. There are a lot of guys were holding, and a lot of the flags were clear, but some of them were just outrageous. The roughing the passer call on Christian Wilkins, that would have set up a 3rd and 10 where the Eagles ended up driving down and scoring a touchdown. Dolphins could have easily forced a 3 now and they gotten the ball back, but no, because that roughing the passer call gave him 15 yards in the automatic first down. The flags this game is just so annoying. Nick Sirianni, I usually love as a head coach because of his energy, but when it's against your team, it is the most annoying thing in the world where he's smiling and he's pointing first down and he's doing the fly eagles. It pisses me off so much. But, this is probably the most hostile environment in the NFL, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. I never want to go there for a game. And, after seeing the schedule come out, I thought maybe, make a trip to Philly for that Week 7 Sunday night game, but absolutely not. You'd probably get killed there if you were a fan of the other team, especially, if you were a Giants fan or Washington or a Dallas fan, never would I go to an Eagles game away in Philly. But getting back to this game, man. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow with a deeper dive with a more organized video, but this is just me. I mean, the Dolphins had a tie game. They, of course, after that Cedric Wilson, I think the Cedric Wilson missed face mask call was that 4th down play. They turned it over. Jalen Hurts' first pass attempt was a pick 6. Great play by Kader Kohu to tip the ball. Great hands by Baker to be there. Brought it back in the end zone. That tied the game up at 17. Then the Eagles came down. They scored a touchdown because goddamn A.J. Brown split 2 tackles. And then also that play in the 4th quarter, I'm pretty sure it was, in between Kohu and Holland. I don't know how Jalen Hurts fit that ball into that deep pass to A.J. Brown. It's just unbelievable. If I had to compare quarterback performances tonight between Tua and Hurts, 23 for 32, 216, 1 TD, 1 interception, 23 for 31. Basically had the same exact stat line in completion percentage, but Hurts had around 75 more yards, and then he also had that extra touchdown. But Hurts wasn't completely outperforming Tua the entire game. But yeah, man. Honestly, one last thing I want to say is that deep wheel route to Mostert. I think Raheem Mostert would have caught that ball if Darius Slay didn't come out of nowhere. But one thing that I noticed on that play is that Jalen Waddle threw that ball before Jalen Waddle made that last cut toward the outside of the end zone, which is where Raheem Mostert was heading. But if Jalen Waddle doesn't make that cut and doesn't bring Darius Slay over there, who was guarding Waddle, if he stays inside, if he doesn't make that cut and Darius Slay doesn't get over there, that might be a touchdown for Raheem Mostert, which was like 30 yards or so. And even if it was incomplete or something, there may have been a flag there, because if Mostert had to come back for that ball and there was hand movement involved, that may have been a PI flag that would have put us at the 1 yard line. But worst case, that's incomplete, and the Dolphins kick a field goal right there, and they're in between. They're right back at a 4-point game, where a field goal keeps it a 7-point game. But yeah, man, they couldn't get it done. They're 5-2 now. Tied for the second best record in the AFC with the Ravens, who had a very dominant win over Detroit today, and the Jaguars, I'm pretty sure, who... Did the Jags play today? They played Thursday night, and they beat the Saints. That's right. So the three of us are 5-2, and then of course the Chiefs are 6-1 after their dominant win over the Chargers. But yeah, man, they couldn't get it done in Philly. Really disappointed. I really wanted to see the Dolphins win this game. But, of course, it's how you respond. So we'll see if they can bounce back, which they should, versus New England back at home next week, a week from today. And then, and then they got the Chiefs in Germany, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And then the bye week. And then that Raiders game, which everyone is waiting for. Ramsey back, Achane back, Armstead likely back for that game. We'll probably need him back at that point. Should have Connor Williams back too. It's going to be a fun end of season push after that bye week. But let's just focus on getting back on track. Let's get this Patriots game over with the win, of course. And then we travel to Germany. So either way, that'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace.